Welcome to the QCOM MS3 vlog. I'm Matthew Holt, and this is the Psychiatry edition. We're on week 3, and it's hard to believe it, but I'm pretty much halfway done with the Psychiatry clerkship. It feels like yesterday I was in transitions week. It's flown by. This past week I was working in Spruce again at Woodridge Hospital. Basically, I did a week in Spruce, the geriatric psych unit, went to Willow, which is the pediatric psych unit, and now I'm back in Spruce. Had a new set of residents. It was still Dr. Kendall on board as the attending, but we had a fourth-year resident, Dr. Forrest, who also helps teach us a whole lot. He does a lot of really beneficial, encouraging sort of like run-throughs of all the psychopharm drugs. He's the one that leads the lunch and learn sessions on Thursdays where we get free Jason's Deli, and we do about 15 practice questions that are really high yield topics for the shelf at the end of the course. So basically I was with him, and I was with a new intern and another resident whom I hadn't met yet. I was working with Daniel and Katie. Both of them, I hadn't worked with them before. They're peers of mine, really good friends of mine now too. So I really enjoyed getting to be with them this week. So today was actually my mid-clerkship review with Dr. Bird, our clerkship director. So after we did rounds and saw patients in the morning, I went for lunch and then went on over to the psychiatry building and basically kind of got to recap what the clerkship has looked like for me up until this point. I had to do a faculty feedback form. Dr. Forrest actually did that for me, and it's basically like a form where there's 3 parts. There's the knowledge performance, there's the skills performance, and then there's the attitude and professionalism. Luckily, I did well in those, and then we sat down with Dr. Bird and just kind of got to go through different things like what are my strengths in this rotation, what are the areas that I can improve in, like what strategies am I going to use to improve, just things like that, to just basically have a dialogue about how we can get better as a student. And so there's 2 more weeks left. I'm heading over to the VA for the last 2 weeks of my clerkship experience in psychiatry. And it's just overall been an encouraging thing. It's been draining. Psychiatry is really an emotional sort of field. I mean, medicine in general, but especially some of the things that I've dealt with in psychiatry. One example this week, this was kind of an interesting learning experience. I got to go to court. So we got to go to court, and it was about over a patient that suffered from dementia. And basically, if she was voluntarily committed, she wanted to go home, and we didn't think it was safe for her to go home because she would have these spells, and basically just if she were to be driving when this happened, somebody could get hurt. So we basically had to go to court, and that was basically to let a judge decide objectively whether or not she would have to stay at the psychiatry unit for another couple weeks. So basically, the doctor was up on trial. He took the stand. The attorney asked him a few questions, and it was basically just objective questions about the case. Then the judge was able to ask him questions, and then our patient got to take the stand, and her lawyer asked her some questions. And it was basically just a way to get all the information out there and let the judge make a decision. So the judge actually decided to just politely ask her to stay for another couple weeks so we could help take care of her and get her back to the place she needs to be. So it was overall an encouraging experience. There wasn't anything too wild that happened, but it was cool to get to be a part of that and to see what medicine looks like in the courtroom, honestly. And I know that that's something our attending, Dr. Kendall, said that he's had to testify hundreds of times at this point in his career. So it's something that you're going to have to do in psychiatry. And so it was good that we kind of got that exposure. Really encouraging. This week has also been sort of like a middle of the way thing for my MPH degree. This summer I was in 3 different courses, and I just finished my gerontology elective, which worked out really well since I was in geriatric psychiatry. I just started my opioid elective, and so this is basically going to be a deep dive into the opiate epidemic in our region. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm passionate about that issue. And just have learned a whole lot about it over the past couple of years. So I'm really excited about getting to learn even more through this elective. And I'm continuing in my summer-long course which is basically like theory and practice, like sociological concepts within public health. So that one's going well. So we've been keeping up with it. It hasn't been too wild. It's going to basically get me halfway done after this summer. I'll only have 3 more courses to go, 2 this fall, 1 in the spring, and I'm starting to realize it's really doable. I can actually make this work and get everything I need to get out of my clerkship experience, spend a few hours at the library in the evening after I get done, and still have time to go run a few miles. So I'm happy. We're getting the work done, and overall, I'm glad to be where I'm at. We got our step scores back this week. I passed the exam, so that's good news. It's such a blessing to be able to move on to the next step in my career and not have to look back for that or have to do anything like, retake the step or anything like that. So that was encouraging. It's all about framing that in the right perspective. And so what's done is done. I can move on from that. I don't have to worry about it. It's like a 5 or 6 week waiting period where you just like wait around for your score. So finally came back in, and everyone that I talked to seemed pretty encouraged. I haven't met anybody that had a bad thing to say about it yet. So it's good to just get that done, and now we can look forward to step 2, CK and CS, clinical knowledge, clinical skills, studying for the shelf exam for psychiatry, brick by brick. We're building it. And we're just going to make it. It's really exciting. It's been a really encouraging time. So I think that's really about it. I got to do one last thing. This is kind of interesting. There was a patient on our unit that came in, and he really wanted to detox, right? So he's got a problem with substance use, specifically alcohol, and he came in because he really wants to change, and really his liver is about done for. And so he was on a certain medication that was really, it could damage his liver, and we couldn't figure out why he was on it, like what the diagnosis was. So I had to make a lot of phone calls to primary care offices trying to track all the information down. I ended up having to send a fax to Vanderbilt to get his medical record from like 5 years ago, get that sent to us. So they faxed it over. That was kind of neat. I'd never done anything like that before, where you submit a medical record request and fax it over, and they send it back. And we had to dig through it and figure it out. Cool thing was we figured out what the diagnosis was that required that medicine. We got to keep him on the medicine, and we also got to help him reach his goals. We started him on some medicine that helps reduce cravings for alcohol, and hopefully it's going to help him to really abstain so his liver doesn't continue to get worse. He can continue working. He can spend time with his family. Those were his goals. And I think he's going to reach them, and we got everything figured out. And so that was just a small way that I felt like I got to contribute to the team this week. I'm starting to get more confidence in making myself useful and applying myself in clinic, not just watching and listening and understanding, but actually like diving right in and helping make a difference for the patient. Because like if I didn't make the calls, they probably wouldn't have got made because everybody's so busy. And ultimately, having that information helped our team better understand the patient and better treat him and just as a whole patient, just all different aspects of his care. So that was encouraging. And this has been week 3. I hope you guys will tune back in next week. Take care.